Hi, I'm Jonathan. This is a microphone, and this is our meditation room. I decided to change venues from the last bit of streaming I did, and obviously I'm changing mediums. We're now streaming to YouTube, and I've never done a live YouTube video, but I wrote a few things today that I wanted to get into. Maybe you'll find them interesting, maybe you won't. But it's a good chance to experiment with a new medium, and hopefully you can actually hear me, because the last time I used this microphone, it went terribly. If you can't hear, please let me know. So today I want to talk about motivation. To get started, I'm going to read through a series of statements that reflect motivation changing over time for me, as well as general trends in motivation in the entire parkour world. So to start with, you play because it's fun. It's pretty simple. Play is defined as just having fun, not having a goal, and hopefully that's where you started in your parkour journey, but maybe it's not. You set goals because they're rewarding to complete. You set ideals because it feels good to have a goal. Give me just a second. Sorry about that. It is an active gym, different people doing different training. So where were we? You play because it's fun. You set goals because they're rewarding to complete. You set ideals because it feels good to have a goal. An ideal is an imaginary perfect version, either of the self or of a competitor. And you build a philosophy or a mindset because you enjoy the sense of purpose. We build community because it feels better to be part of something. We idolize the impressive because it helps to be... We idolize the impressive because it helps us imagine what's possible. This is a big one that we all get trapped in from time to time. You shame the play that doesn't fit your ideals because it threatens your sense of purpose. We've all done that. So we see people moving, trying things, doing something that we might consider not pure parkour, not the real origins of things. And that's on us. That's on you, the spectator, that you're putting something bad onto whatever someone else is doing. If someone is playing, that's their business. And you can interpret it how you want, but it's still their own thing to have. But that's why we tend to do that. We shame play that doesn't fit our ideals because it threatens our sense of purpose. The ideals inform our sense of purpose, and different ways of playing give us a feeling of a threat to that. Everyone in a community sees the mindset and the ideals in their own way. I focus on thinking about all the things at once, and I stop working on the advancement of self. That's a personal one I had to add to the list. The community of the world is infinite. The validation of likes is an opiate. The drug of digital validation morphs our ideals. And the complainer about that cannot help but fall victim to the cycle of social media. At the end of the day, awesome things are still awesome. So never lose that. Never forget that really, really cool, impressive things that people do, even if they did them for a motivational reason that you don't identify with, are still really, really cool. So if somebody, let's say, did 200 backflips in an hour, and they did it because they were trying to get likes from all over the world and get lots of people to view their channel. Well, guess what? You might not like why they did it, but the fact that they did it is still pretty damned incredible. Being the best in the world is a fool's errand. Attempting to be the best in the world is a great motivator, one of the greatest motivators. That's a conundrum. There are lots of conundrums as we think about inspiration and what makes us want to work hard versus what we can sustain over time. Helping other people will not make you the best in the world. I'm not saying don't help other people. I'm saying the goal of becoming the greatest in the world at being your own personal version of an athlete is not going to be served by you helping others. What I am saying, though, is that you should still strive to help others. Because being ultimately helpful as an ideal unto itself, I think, is the best place that we can take the art of parkour and the art of living as a good human being. So dropping all the bags you carried so far to be only of use to others is the next step. I want to help other people. Everything else that I've built up to now that doesn't allow me to help other people in a real way in my actual life, not in my fantasies, has to go. That might be obsessing over deadlifts. It might be being attached to a loner lifestyle. It could be counterculture ideas. It could be spending all of my time with an internal focus. Or it could be simply emotional baggage that I carry from childhood trauma. Whatever it is, I have to let all of my baggage go in order to be in a good position to help other people and to realign myself to that new goal. So once you've dropped all of that baggage, the next step that you can take, and this is really where it gets advanced, learning how to pick the baggage back up that you want to carry. When you first let go of your baggage, you're going to find a sense of freedom that is scary. Without any kind of emotional baggage being carried around, it's very hard to find actual motivation. Our angst, our anxiety is what drives us to get up and start doing things. And if you let it all go and you become at peace and at one, suddenly you don't have any reason to try to advance. And so you've got to be able to then, after dropping that baggage you had, after dropping the assumptions you used to carry, go back and be selective and look for the things that actually make sense, that you do want to continue to carry, and very carefully pick just those things up and let them back into your mind and your heart. Once you've gone through all these steps, or hopefully sooner than that, you can find freedom from self-hate through community, accountability, and a culture of forgiveness. And finally, you've got to acknowledge the tendencies that never left you as you took on this whole journey. As we make progress through self-discovery and development, which is what the goal of parkour should have always been, you're going to feel like you've become an entirely different person and you've changed everything about your habits, but that's not actually true. In a lot of ways, we are who we are, and there are going to be immutable factors, things that you continue to have problems with or things that you do really well. They're going to stay there. You still are your own person and the person you were born as to a certain extent. So with all of that said, I want to reflect a little bit on the weekend that I just had. We just hosted a jam here in Memphis, and it was really good. It was here in the recess gym that I'm in the tiny meditation room of right now. And I had 13 people from out of town drive in and join us, as well as 5 or 6 local athletes. So it wasn't an enormous event, but it was really good. Everybody was here together. We were sharing in a strong way. But I noticed something, because being a teacher and a business operator, I've not done a lot of outdoor training in recent times. And as we went to the outdoor sessions on Sunday, I picked up on a vibe that has always been there since I started doing parkour 11-ish years ago, which is everybody wants to do one amazing thing. And I think that can be broken up to get to a better place. So I'm going to read one more thing that I've written. It is not as choppy as the previous bit, but hopefully there's something of value for you here. I know that visuals are not great right now. I'm just still thinking through all this live broadcasting stuff, but hopefully you can hear me pretty well. So let's begin. First, I want to go with a definition and say that the very limit of your mind and your body is your personal 100%. The maximum effort. This is you applying all that you've built up within yourself and pushing past mental hangups to do some amazing things. And much of the group training in parkour is people seeking their 100% moment. Perfect singular expression of their total potential. During a jam, it's common to see people canvassing for this opportunity. They don't see the jumps that are at 65% for them, and they don't bother playing with the methods that are at 10% of their ability. The vision they have only holds up to the 90% at the very top of their ability level. Operating close to your limits is vital. You need to spend time there. We have to learn what options we truly have, and the only way to do that is at the extreme. Even when not doing our highest level jumps, our training should be to go to this goal of moving the needle, making our personal 100% moment line up with the very limit of the human body, with our ideals. Every repeated small pre, every pull-up, every squat or deadlift, it's all in pursuit of a higher upper threshold. And that threshold can be measured in many, many, many ways. I want to bring something else up, though, which is don't forget to stop and smell the roses. Yeah, it's fun to work at your extreme limits, and a lot of people get great satisfaction there. But I think that you're missing out if that's the only practice you ever have, especially if it's the only way that you interact with other people with your parkour. And what I really want to bring up is the greatest joy, and the reason why I want to help most people with getting strong is that the things that are easy for you get even easier. And the things that are kind of difficult also become easy. It's not just that your upper threshold keeps rising and rising and rising. It's that the things that used to be a little bit difficult become super easy. And the things that used to be a pain in the butt, you don't even have to think about. You can just do them. And you need to take advantage of that. You need to train taking advantage of what you can do 100% of the time. Not at your 100% difficulty limit, but the things that you have on lock, that you're good at, you can do them consistently. So instead of a single 5 to 10 second showing of extreme power that takes 20, 50, 100 tries to get right, I want you to think about what you have on lock and how you can apply it all. And I've got 2 propositions for you to try out. I'll do it this way so I don't piss off any Brits. 2 possibilities of how you can train this. I want you to experiment with both of them. The first challenge is to play with what you have. Try for 1 solid minute of flow work. Don't put a single thing in there that you might have to retry. And if you do make a mistake, adapt and flow with it. For most parkour people, 1 minute is already going to be pushing it. It's not the way people normally train. But when you start to get comfortable with that, I want you to up it to 5 minutes and then 10 minutes of continuous, non-stop, flowing parkour movements. You're not going to be able to do this jumping 10 feet. It's going to come through carefully crafting and getting in touch with your wind, your overall physical state, and developing your athleticism in a different way, as well as reaching deep into your mind and figuring out what you can sustain and enjoying that process. So look for spots that don't just let you do one huge jump, but let you open up your full tool set and constantly adapt. With this training methodology, planning is not possible. You may have 1 or 2 ideas you hope to get around to, but you can't plan it all out. And in improvisation, we are doing the real thing and not just performing anymore. And that's what I hope you get to from this first methodology. So that first methodology is play with what you have. And the second challenge, the second method that I want you to work on is developing goals around practical application. You might think that you're already doing that, but you're probably not. I say probably not because I've studied the way lots and lots of people train parkour, and it's not practical. It's fun. It's cool. It does develop the strength and the ability that can be used practically, but the training itself is not very practical. So stop and think and really dive into the idea of what may or may not be asked of you in an emergency. Contemplate what you're likely to be wearing and equipped with when someone needs your help. You're not always going to be in your olos and in your sweats, and you're not always going to feel great, and you're not always going to be able to throw your bag on the ground. So think about how you can be helpful to people when there isn't a massive catastrophe going on. Maybe there's not a fire or an earthquake. Maybe it's just an everyday day, but you still have the ability to help others. From this mindset, I challenge you to throw away all the assumptions that you may have made as you fantasized about looking awesome and humbly focus on the practical. How easily can I get up a wall? Can I carry something with me? How many kilometers can I cover on foot in a day's time? Do I know how to pace myself as I climb up or down so I don't have to stop for a break? Can I use the strength that I have to help someone today? This all circles back to something I shared before. So those are my 2 asks, are play with what you have and develop goals based on real practical application. What this circles back to is my ideal of don't just be fit, be useful. Everybody's heard be fit to be useful, E3 Ford. It's floated around for a while. There's debate about its relevance to the origins, but we've all thought about it. It was my initial inspiration to do this. But practicality is not what we tend to think it is when we're all excited about doing big, cool moves. There's nothing bad about seeking validation. It's all part of who and what we are as social creatures, and I'm just trying to open or perhaps reopen a path of fulfillment that is potentially much broader. One thing I did last year was volunteer at a free lunch program. I served food, restacked pallets and pallets of cans, and shifted inventory from place to place, and also talked to the people that came in for a meal and broadened my understanding of what people in my city are going through. I feel like that was a real application of myself, of the person that I've created, that I've worked to create. I was able to give and be helpful based on what I had done to my body and to my mind. And this is being useful, but it's not the only way. This extends to charitable giving, to getting involved with politics, to making sure people are taken care of. It extends to joining the fire and paramedic field in your area. It's a matter of finding your calling. And it isn't going to happen overnight. So try a lot of things, however much you have time to try, and figure out how you can help other people. Because if we're going to be fit to be useful, it can't always just live in the future. You need to be useful in the present moment. That's what I want to strive for. So if anybody is watching, I don't know that anyone has watched, but thank you. I'm going to sign out, and hopefully this video worked, and ideally maybe it even helped you a little bit. If not, tell me that too.